Hello there, this is Big Benedict. We're playing God of War 3 on Chaos difficulty, and this is my No Upgrade Run Plus video guide and walkthrough. This is part 2 of the guide, and this video will take us from the point where we were at the save point all the way up to our entering Hades Palace, and it will also feature at the end of it the fight with the two dogs, Cerberuses. So in this area we have the 3 pots to smash. And when we come back, we'll be up here twice. Once now, once at the end of the game. If I'm that far ever, that will be a very good sign, because that will mean that I'm almost near the conclusion of the game, having beaten all the hard challenges associated with this game. Now, the bramble pots over here will take off massive damage from these 2 minotaurs who are stalking our way. So target the bramble pots. We'll have a similar conceit in a little bit also with the warriors, the female warriors. So at this point you can do your, what I like to call the powerhouse combo, and launch them and or grab them if you fail to launch them. So it is a little hard to restart a guide, I mean, because what I want is for the gameplay to be better, but sometimes you can't help that the audio commentary is not as good. So we're just gonna have to do. I know there's people who probably lament the absence of the other videos, but now these are going to be in their place. So not a bad chapter, good installment for the guide. I'm not going to be going through the portal to the right, because we can do that later. And also there's only an item chest, which I won't be using. So when we come up here, we're going to have the first of many little cutscenes with Pandora, so I'm going to skip that. Some of these pots give me trouble too. The simply smashing trial in the Trials of Olympus is pretty difficult, actually, because you're tasked with destroying 30 pots in 15 seconds, meaning you need to destroy a pot every half of a second. And when you think about it logically. But we're going to jump our way down here. And if you're looking for the Hades boss fight, it'll obviously be in the next video at some point. I'm not going to be segregating videos into boss battles. These are going to be pretty long videos. And for the title, it will be the most significant event in the title. So if it's a boss fight, if there's a boss fight in the video, even though there are many other things in the video, I'll just have that. So whatever I deem to be the most significant event that takes place in the video, so that people who are needing help can search for it and possibly see it in the playlist right away when they scroll through the playlists. So these guys have a gals actually. They have a projectile attack which you can parry, and also they also have an attack where they hit the ground and spark it and cause you damage. There's also an attack that the Cerberus dogs do that I forgot to mention during that fight, but which I did add later during the commentary. I was talking about that. The third phase, when they have one head, they have an attack that they only do when they have one head, and it's unblockable and unparryable. And it deals about a quarter of your life off or more, so you really got to be careful. So over here we have those 2 warriors and some pots over here, out of sight. So these sequences here, which are just transitional scenes, I'm mostly going to keep those in the guide. I'm not picking up the notes from the scrawled notes of the damned. I'll just leave those. So once we get up there, you're gonna have to spawn right when you get up there. So attack these guys very ferociously right when you get about to that way, halfway down the walk there. There's that attack. when you launch them up into the air, but not you, and you're flinging them, you don't have iframes on that, so you've got to be very careful. If it's the only one around, there's no big deal. So we are going to get another spawn of the women once we come down. There's 3 spawns actually, but this one up here is isolated. So the best thing that I know to do here is to push the bramble pot all the way down, then let go, roll back, or just, you know, don't even roll back and then fire, and that should deal most of the damage off of them. And then if you happen to incur any damage, you can just get the chest here. So the 3rd spawn will trigger once we bring the bramble down the lift. So we'll go down here, pull the crank, and get that vase which we missed. And this will raise. We'll get the pot down here. So just push this thing forward, and then when you jump off, these guys will spawn when the bramble and the lift reach the level of where we're standing. So these gals, they tend to just fall down into the fire, which is pretty good. So there is a little bit of luck on my part since I didn't have those iframes. And I'm not going to be going out of my way to kill every of the Hades claws this time around. You saw last time that I sped it up. And basically, if you were disappointed that the guide vanished, I understand. But as I've said many a time, there's never a guarantee that a guide will be finished. There's never a guarantee that a new one will be started either. And I'm not saying that what I do is the most special thing that you have to look forward to in all of your lives. I'm just saying that, you know, I have personal problems sometimes that interfere, my rage notwithstanding. Sometimes you know, I'm at my wit's end, and I don't regret deleting it. I regret nothing, because there's a reason why I'm starting this again. I don't really know what it is. Maybe I needed to get my face smashed a little bit by the game. But I'm going to improve upon my tactics. That's all I know. So we're going to get that, skirt by the Hades arms, and then we're going to be dealing with my favorite enemy in the game, which is the Stone Talos monsters. And I remarked about this the last time, but I really admire the way that they don't have the next set of 4 in the circular pavilion. They don't have those guys spawn until the next time you come after. For first-time players, it's very unnerving, I imagine. So we're going to come up here and slay these guys. And if you were watching my last guide, my policy on the Stone Talos monsters is I do them no damage, or I don't do them at all. Why is that? Because they're the one enemy in this game that I really respect the most and enjoy fighting the most. And I just like to see if I could, I just like to do them without getting hit. They usually are attended by other enemies, and if I do happen to get hit by those guys, I don't stop the run. So these guys have an overhead attack, which is a 2-hit combo. They have 1 jab, and occasionally, if you knock them off balance, and if see right there, and they recover. But you noticed my proximity to that guy right there. He didn't do a swipe. So what I suspected before was that if they're too far away from you, if you're not within their hitting range when they're getting to their feet and recollecting their balance, they don't hit you. But it is random, and that just proves it right there, because he was within my hitting range, and as he was re-getting his balance, he didn't attack me. So that's the extent of their attacks. But as you can imagine, it can be quite difficult when you're trying to account for 2 hit for both of them at the same time. And what I would advise here is that you get the O button prompt on both of them, and then systematically take out one by one, so that for the next part of the spawn, which is another one of these guys, that guy right there on the pedestal, attended by some of his lackeys, so that then you could deal with the situation. The O button prompt never goes away from these enemies, so you'll never lose that ability to grab them at any time. So what I do here, so that I don't kill, you could actually kill them if you continue to hit them with the O button prompt over them. So what I do is to avoid hitting the one with the O button prompt, I target the one that doesn't have it with the bow and kill them that way. So by this time the third one will spawn and step down, so you want to head back down here and wait for the lesser foes to arrive. And what I do on these guys is I don't use them as battering rams on the main enemy, because I don't want that hit point damage off of him, because I want to fight him. And if he hit me, yes, I would restart. It's a pretty strict policy, but I do it because I really care about this enemy and I like it. And I didn't like the fact that they were were they gimped in the next game? Not really. They were just taken in a different direction that I didn't like. When they did their buff, you couldn't even hit them. What kind of an enemy is one where you cannot hit him? I don't like that at all. And I think there were a couple on the Trial of Archimedes, but maybe just one. So over here we have six pots, and we'll be flying down here into the forge. It's really regrettable that you can't skip these cutscenes. Hephaestus is the most long-winded character in the game. So what does that mean? That means a lot of waiting for him to stop talking. So this is a semi-hub area. We'll be coming down here. Aphrodite's chamber is up that way, where you see the footsteps. Do you? They probably aren't there yet because we don't have Hermes boots. So we're going to save our progress. Pull this lever here. It's going to open this gate. Hephaestus's ring is on the very left after you kill him, after the Kronos boss fight. The ring right there that you can see, and that's the one I'm using to activate, have the QuickTime events done for me. And I don't consider it cheating whatsoever, because I could do them if I wanted to. It's just a luxury to not be able to have to do them this time. But this is, like I said before, it's a stroke of genius, because if you're new to the game, if you never played it, you're looking at these guys the entire time, just waiting for them to spawn, because in your mind, you're recounting the events that you just did where these guys all spawned. And it's just a stroke of brilliance. It's clever restraint, and it's, like I said before, it's straight out of a survival horror. I am looking forward to the Evil Within. I'm not a Resident Evil type of person, but in this inundation of first-person games and the dearth that we have of third-person games, any type of third-person games, whenever one comes out that's even slightly looking like it might be creative and great, I will play it. So I'm going to be playing the Evil Within, maybe on the PS4. I don't have an Xbox One. I don't really want one, but if there were some games on there, I would definitely get it. I think Quantum Break is an exclusive, so I'll be getting that one. But anyway, the stroke of genius. When we come down here again, 3 of 4 animate, and that too is a stroke of genius. So a really great game. And when I did this guide before, I was talking about how it's a protest against there not being a God of War 4 yet. We'll give that some time. I mean, I assume they're working on it right now, so it's going to take them time. But anyway, I've edited out the scene with Pandora. What happened actually is in Kratos' fall to Hades, it landed kind of conveniently right in a Pandora statue, and now we have it and you're able to use it, but I don't understand why they don't give you unlimited use of it in this fight the way they give you unlimited use of the magic every time you get a new magic, which is in turn meaning you get a new weapon, because the weapons each have a different magic. So kind of baffling, but if you wanted to use it you could, but I just don't see any point to use it. If you were to use it here, you could definitely fill it back up by the time you got to Hades. So there's it's a pretty difficult fight. I try not to use magic. I don't think I use any magic. In fact, I just did it. There was one take where I used magic, but I restarted because either that or I got killed. But when there's one head left on the dog, that is the point, like I mentioned, where they do the attack. It's an area of effect attack where they slam their forepaws into the ground, and you cannot dodge it or evade it. Just watch out when you come back here. If these guys are shooting at you, you can grab a foe here for iframes. There are 4 total female archers, those 2 and then these 2. And then if you cross the bridge, there's usually a soul wandering his pathetic way around the top part of this area. And you can get your brutal kill, and you can also get some HP. So there's really no way, method, order in which I kill the dogs. Generally, you want to focus on one, but if you aren't hitting and sending their projectiles back and chipping away off the other one, you could be in a situation where you're on the last dog, but he doesn't have much damage off him and he has 3 heads, so you might want to distribute the damage a little bit. So we're doing the guard that we're doing there. You can do a standard block where you just block, it doesn't take any damage off you, just like that. And you could also block when you would ordinarily parry, and he will do that right there, which you could follow up with a parry if you have the blades up to level 2, which gives you Argo's Ram, and then I think at level 4 you get another parry, or level 3 you get the triangle parry, but first you get the square parry. But unfortunately we can't follow up what I'm calling the perfect guard. What does it net you on this type of run? Absolutely nothing, except it looks better in the eyes of others because you're guarding at a more precise time. Is it to show off? Not really. It's because I'm so accustomed to parry timing, actually. And I just think it's a more skillful way of playing and dealing with the situation. So what do these guys do? They will shoot projectiles, and oftentimes when you fling a projectile back, it will not hit the dog out of whose mouth it's spouted. So that could be a way to distribute the damage if you want to. Long combos aren't really recommended unless they are off the screen and you think you can get it in. They're not too accurate with their projectiles, and I think the reason for that is simply because they can't really keep up with you unless you're locked into place for a second and just standing still. But I've come to a stop after rolling in, and they've shot one right at me, so you can block them, but I would not recommend that. I would recommend parrying them and dealing some damage off these guys. It does a lot of damage. So let's see, do we have one dog with one head? If so, he'll do the move that I was talking about, which you can't guard against. I know they did it at some point. I'm just hoping they didn't do it while I was speaking and I wasn't looking at the screen. Okay, so we have... Okay, they must do it. I think we have I'm just going to look out for that move because it's important to showcase it, right? You'll see a red area of effect right in front of them. There, that move right there that the middle guy did, and you know it's him because he has one head. They only do it when they have one head. So they are at their most dangerous when they have one head. So what should you do? I would recommend using the arrow at a distance so you don't get trapped in that. And then when you kill them, they will give you a little bit of health, but it's actually a pretty pathetic amount of health. So it looks like we now have both dogs in their final form. I think that they did that attack right there. So you can also use the flame attachment with this bow, but it will take off half of your item meter, and then that will leave you with only half of it left. Okay, so I need to get out of this corner because I don't want to get trapped in a corner, especially with that attack that I can't protect myself against. So I'm just going to be shooting him, and he should go down pretty quickly with the arrows. There we go. And just do the quick roll right over to him. The O button does fade rapidly from these guys, so you couldn't miss it. But they don't re-get all their HP. And what I did over here is I backtracked off camera and refilled my health. It wouldn't have mattered ultimately, but I don't like to waste chests. So we have a battle in here with some dogs whom you can fling back at these enemies, or you can just grab the soldiers. Well, they're not really soldiers, are they? They're skeletons. So the grab moves, when you grab a skeleton, if you press the triangle button, it's an instant kill, you get iframes. If you press the X button, Kratos will throw it at a nearby foe. And if you press the O button, he will punch the enemy. And you only get iframes when you're ripping the guy's head off, not when he's punching the enemy, so you can get interrupted. And obviously if you grab them and press square, you do this, which is the battering ram. You can throw them off chasms, and then if you run into solid surfaces, he'll just smash them. So I want to thank everybody for coming back to the guide. We're going full speed ahead now in Hades Palace. And that's what the next video will be called. Actually, the next video will be called Hades Boss Fight, because like I said, the most significant event of the video. And he's a tough boss, but we could take care of him. So in short order, I will see you in video 3, but give it some time for it to be created. And this looks like it's the last guy, and then we can also pick up the contents of this chest. There are more chests inside, so don't worry about it. So at this point I needed some health. My magic's all retained since I didn't use any on the dogs. And here is the palace itself. So once it scans around and shows us the nearby vicinity, we will smash a couple of pots and hit that save point. So once again, I want to thank everybody for watching, and I'll see you in video number 3.